Hello,
Hey Ray, what's going on?
Johnny Ice, my man. What are you doing up so bright and early? I thought you were going to be a little less cheery.
Oh, well, I've got one hand on a pina colada, the laptop's on my lap, I'm sitting poolside. What else do I do on a on the 1st of June, 2021 right here?
Well, just don't mind me. I know it looks like like a scope cup from the dental office, but it's a double espresso here.
Oh.
Getting that energy because it's bright and early. The sun has just come up, and we both are working. But we really wanted to do this special episode because it is a special day in New York Mets history. I'm already like, can you just feel the espresso, man?
Yes. Yeah.
It
That
is
was
the
not that was not mouthwash right there. That was espresso.
is the ninth anniversary of Johan Santana's no-hitter, first no-hitter in Mets history. It's like Christmas Day and for me, and I'm sure it's like night one of Hanukkah for you.
Oh yeah, it's night one of Hanukkah. We actually had Jacob deGrom pitching last night, well on his way to a no-hitter also, but thankfully that was broken up before we had today's random episode. I think we're going to call this a squeeze play. What do you sound about that?
I like
our
it, the
quick hits,
squeeze play.
We're going to call them squeeze plays. So if we can do a couple
Beautiful.
of these quick hit episodes, I think that'll be the name for them.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, this is going to have to be a quick hit because, I got to get on an early morning call here, and I'm sure you got to do the same. So let's just jump in. We're going to break away from our format. As you know, the Mets won last night. Jacob looked good, but anyhow, and I don't know if there's any birthdays this week, but we're skipping it all to go to Johan Santana's no-hitter. I think before we get there, you and Ant, and I'm going to say his name, you were part of this story. I mean, I think that's what makes it so great. Like, there are stories within the stories. For me, we just celebrated Memorial Day yesterday. And, in 2012, Memorial Day, my dad came over to my house, my studio condo that I was living in by myself, just to help me do a couple of things around the house. It was only supposed to be like an hour. He brought his toolbox. We were going to hang up a couple of things, this, that, the other. It turns out that like he breaks something or I didn't have the right tool. So it turns into a whole all-day event. And that day on Memorial Day, and this is all going to connect, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
The Mets are playing the Phillies. It's a 1:00 game. And so my dad was like, all right, well, if I'm going to be here, just put on the Met game. And I look at my dad and I tell him, Dad, I don't have cable. He goes, what how do you not have cable? And I said,
and that's exactly the delivery, by the way. That's spot on.
And, my dad was just like, how do you not have cable? I don't understand. I was like, the Mets aren't that good. And, I'm busy and I'm trying to save money. I got student loans to pay. And if there's a game that I want to watch, I live right around the corner from the Half Door. Shout out to the Half Door in Hartford. I just go to the game. I just go to the bar. I have a burger, a beer, and watch the game. About 20 minutes later, my dad decides, let's do the math, Ray. How much is cable? And we went through the math. I don't know, $49, let's say, for the. How much do you spend at the bar? And I was like, well, burgers like $11.99. We did the math on the spot, and I felt like a real schmuck.
That's right.
So I share that. I know that's a long-winded story, but I share that because he guilted me into cable. That was a Monday, Memorial Day. I didn't get cable till Thursday.
Folks were still trying to guilt Ray back into cable.
And I relented. I went to it. We turned on the cable Friday evening. It was a weird Friday too. Like it just was like a unusually cold Friday I remember it being really windy and whatnot. I remember getting home from work and just, pouring some scotch, just going to relax, have the Met game on in the background and just putz around, do my thing. And right around the third, fourth inning, that's when I was kind of like, this looks really interesting. And I think it was like the sixth inning for me where I texted Ant. I don't know if I texted you, but I definitely texted Ant to say, hey, you might want to look at the game or whatever. And I remember Ant turning it on. Okay, whatever. And then inning later was the Mike Baxter catch and the rest is history. So I want to shout out to my dad for making me have cable. Second of all, I'm going to show you. I still have that bottle of Johnny Walker Black in my memorabilia section of my office here.
Oh, there you go.
I
In the
refuse,
memorabilia wing. Yes.
I refuse to throw that out because that bottle was half filled when the night
Oh,
started.
that's awesome. It's a living time capsule you have.
Absolutely. So how about
That's
you,
great.
John? Like, and we could get into actual game, but like, what's your memory of that game?
Well, here's the thing, and like we did in our last episode, I went back into the Facebook memories and I said, let me take a look. And here it's I didn't see anything, and I was like, how could there not be anything? But then I look and I realize it's not explicit, but it says I can leave the couch with 3 exclamation points. I can pee 3 exclamation points. OMG 3 exclamation points. So I'm glad we're having this here today because maybe I wouldn't know what that was all about. But yeah, you want to talk about the most superstitious fans out there, baseball fans, wouldn't leave the cushion of the couch, wouldn't move. It's really kind of like Keith would say, this seat has hits in it or whatever.
Yes.
It was literally like, you can't do anything. If you have the remote in your hand, you can't put it down. That was what was going on.
I tell you, it was the Baxter catch when I really sat there and said, okay, this looks real. Because Johan's pitch count was so high that you're like, even if he's got a no-hitter, he's not going to last. I mean, and I honestly forgot about the Adrian Johnson, Carlos Beltran,
the Beltran third baseline.
Yeah, which is ironic that it was Carlos Beltran who,
of course,
of all people. But yeah, at the Baxter catch was really the catch where it was like, this might happen.
Yeah, and he ended up getting hurt on that catch, which ties us back to this year with so many injuries in center field and everything like that. But yeah, it was incredible. Like we say a lot on this show. Before this happened, I think we're constantly on no hit watch when we go to games. It could be
hopefully it's in the first inning. You're like, okay,
yeah. After the third inning, we start thinking about where we're sitting, what cup holder the cup is in, whether we need to get up or not, that whole thing. The superstition is alive and well there, but this time, this kind of put an end to all that, which was just elation is all I could say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, shout out here. I'm looking at the lineup, Johan actually needed to throw a no-hitter because he got Baxter in left field. Of course, we do this every episode, but people forget he was batting .323. That's shout out.
I was a fan of Mike Baxter. I think
it was because he was the local kid, who grew up literally around the street from Shea Stadium. Kurt Neuenhuis playing center field, and Kurt. I still like Kurt. He stiffed me for an interview last year, 2 years ago, when he came up here to New Britain, the New Britain Bees Independent League. He was with the Ducks. He turned down the interview request. It's okay. Yeah. It's all right. We still like him. Right. David Wright, Lucas Duda in right field, Daniel Murphy in second base, Ike at first, Josh Tolley catching. Everyone forgets Josh Tolley. That was his first game back from the concussion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And hello to you. And then Omar Quintanilla, who, we might have to do an Omar Quintanilla story someday. Talk about flash in the pan. Shout out. He's batting .417 on June 1st, 2012.
Yeah, good Johan for Omar.
Santana. Man.
Omar, look, Johan struck out twice that day. What a bum. Unbelievable. But yeah, looking at the Cardinals lineup, pretty stacked. I mean, I forgot Furcal was on the Cardinals, but Furcal, Beltran, Holiday, Alan Craig, who, I feel like it didn't last that long, but he had a couple of solid seasons. David Freese, same thing. Molina, who I don't like to talk about.
Well, and the thing about Molina, going back to that Mike Baxter, I mean, I think was it Terry? Did they have a mound visit and then Johan threw on the first pitch? I don't remember, but I think it was like the first pitch, Johan.
That would be eerily similar to Oliver Perez, right?
Yes, and that was a shot laser.
And then as Met fans, we're just assuming that that's what it's going to be. That's how it's going to end. And but it doesn't.
And then you get to the 8th inning. So, first of all, it's only fitting. And again, this is, in hindsight, but the Mets, look at the box score, 8 runs, 8 hits. And on a year that Gary Carter died, number 8. So that part's only fitting. But you get to the 8th inning, and I remember after the Mets went through their 3. I'm trying to think. I think Beltran again has that little squib that looks like Quintanilla is going to catch it, and then Murphy comes out of nowhere to make the catch in second. And then it's the first time that I remember SNY staying with the pitcher. So there's no commercials after the Mets made their 3 outs. And that was pretty cool too. Cause
that was special.
Whoa, what's going on here?
No, it was special. And then, as fans and knowing that Gary Cohn is such a fan and just listening to him call that, it's just like, what emotions must he have? Because again, we're all superstitious and is like, when do you start bringing it up? Is it okay to start bringing it up now? Like, how often do we talk about it? It's that kind of thing. And then, you start getting the bench treatment for Johan on the, everybody avoid him, this and that. And it's like, whew, here we go.
Well, I'm going to go backwards real quick, but I remember watching like Gary, Keith, and Ron, I think added to the drama. I mean, it was already high drama. And of course I'm watching by myself. And now I'm liquored up, so it's even worse, the anxiety. But Gary, Keith, and Ron, I think Keith and Ron really, it was very interesting. Like if you look at the broadcast, Keith was like, well, if I'm Terry, I might call Sandy Alderson right now and ask for another 15 pitches just to help me out, because he was on a strict pitch count. And then Ron was telling these stories of like, I haven't felt this nervous since I put on stirrups, and I have friends here today at the ballpark. This is their first ever ball game. And, it was just added to the excitement, I think.
It's funny. I don't know if you saw it the other day, but it was Gary and Ron in the booth, and there was a pop-up in the infield.
Yeah.
And Ron, and it was like the first baseman, the catcher, and the pitcher converging. And Ron, did you hear that? Ron called the catcher's name or whatever. He called the guy's name, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I got into a mode there." I was like,
you know what?
That's awesome. I love that. That's so great, man.
I would rather have that than some of these other broadcasters out there.
Oh, yeah, no. So that's it's great to happen in front of that broadcast team because they're the best. We love them.
So let's get to the 9th inning, because that's where the meat and potatoes is. I mean, ordinarily, if we had enough time, we could do a watch long. Actually, we could do a watch long, but no, that's okay. We'll just do this from memory here. But I think it's Halladay, the first pitch. And it sounded like he broke the bat. And I remember, for me, I was like,
oh, that's it.
We'll beat that out, but
it's gonna dump it to center fielder, and that's it.
And Neuenhuis ran like, I thought for sure that was dropping. But then you're feeling good because you're like, okay, that's one pitch, and Johan's already exceeded his pitch count, so you're like, okay, maybe he could do this in 3 pitches. Anyhow.
Yeah, I know, and then you get the pop out, and everybody. You know what I always wondered for these kind of things, do fans start coming to the stadium? Do fans like start taking the 7? And I think you were able to watch it from up in like, that like
the
whatever
bridge
platform
back in the day.
Yeah. I was like, do people start coming out because like something's going on there? So, the Alan Craig pop up, and then David Freese, who was the World Series MVP from the year before.
I was going to say, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And those are the guys that you're like, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah, because those are also the guys, it's 8-0 or whatever, but those are the guys with the pride, and they're not going to lay down. They don't mind getting a hit to break up a no-hitter.
And when you see Yadier Molina in the bullpen, and I remember in the bullpen on deck, and I remember Gary Cohn saying, Yadier Molina, who has broken Mets hearts in the past, on deck. I was just like, gee, Scare, come on.
I mean, you look at the pitch count there, though, and what happens if he walks another guy in the 9th or something like that. I mean, it's
a runaway train.
A couple of things that like, just to kind of like from a historical perspective beyond the no-hitter, the number of pitches thrown there, 134. Not sure we'll ever see that ever again. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And the type of pitcher that Johan was that he was using 94, 96 as his top fastball to play off of changeups and things
Yeah.
like that. It's just like that's another thing you don't see anymore. So he was almost like a finesse pitcher, where it was, he wasn't the 92 mile an hour Glavine finesse pitcher, but he was like a finesse pitcher with a plus fastball, I guess they would say.
And the thing is, like, he's coming back from major shoulder surgery, so you really and truly do have the kid gloves. And think about it. I don't know if that would, to your point. I mean, let's use Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, very easy.
Even yesterday, these 9:40 games are past my bedtime. I'm not gonna lie, I can't, but I understand that they took him out after 70 pitches. The game before, it was about 70 pitches, 5 innings, 6 innings. So, here's your ace removed from the disabled list. His 2 starts, very well guarded. It's so interesting that 9 years ago is like, all right, well, you can't. But to Terry's point, even afterwards, he's like, Johan's my hero, because he took the decision out of Terry's hand.
Oh yeah, it's a runaway train, that's for sure. But in this day and age, I don't know. I mean, they may have to have some of their sabermetrics robots take deGrom off the mound at this point, because it's very serious.
So let's think about this, though. And again, I'm doing this off of memory. We don't have we're not doing a watch along because this is a squeeze play. But I remember in that last out, I think he goes 3-0 maybe, or 2-0 before he gets a strike, but they keep going to the crowd. So there's that one guy that looks like Dave Matthews and Tom Hanks. Do you know? He's got like the blue tank top, blue polo shirt, and he's got his hands like praying. He's praying, but tell me, you watch that. You tell me that he doesn't look like Dave Matthews or Tom Hanks. Then they show this other girl, I think after one of the strikes, and she's just hopping up and down. Meanwhile, you're on like pitch number 132. And then like right before the big out, there's a picture, I'm going to assume, of a mom. She looks like Susan Sarandon with the curly hair. She's got the 2 kids in the stands, and they're jumping up and down. And I remember thinking to myself, oh boy, please, just get the out. Don't
get the out. I mean, he was beyond E on the tank. His gas light was on blinking. I mean, I was so worried at the end of that, because it's like he has nothing left. And then to get a strikeout to end the game, I mean, it's incredible. I don't think I would have been able to handle being in the stands for that one. It was bad enough working in the couch cushion. But
have you seen the Howie Rose call, or heard the Howie Rose call?
That one, I don't know, because the Gary Cohen one is always the one that kind of comes up. But
I was going to ask which one's better. I mean, to me, it's always going to be the Gary Cohen. Just because of the visual and the equal excitement. And I even use this at work to this day. It has happened when someone delivers, or
exactly.
It has happened.
Yeah, that's a meme worthy with some sort of biblical figure, I think.
But Howie, Howie's call was pretty good too. A lot of excitement there. The thing that again, I'm not going to critique, because Howie is the man, but at one point he says Santana is behind the mound, and he puts his head on the bill of his hat and gives it a tug. When you watch the visual, there's no tug of the hat.
He's going straight. He's so nervous that he's going for it.
He's just imagining
things up.
Yeah. Well, hey,
he wipes the sweat from his brow.
After 8,000 games, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you're allowed to get away with stuff like that. But what do you think when we get to the 10-year? You think we're gonna get a patch out of this, or what? We're gonna get a little bobblehead. I mean,
I know you love your patches. Hey,
can I get a patch?
Let me put this on hold. You keep the crowd entertained here.
That's right. We'll do some quick trivia. We'll do some quick trivia of did you know, Ray, who pitched a no-hitter, a perfect game on 4/21/12?
4/21/12. It's your boy Philip Humber, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Who the Mets traded for Johan Santana.
I remember when that happened. I was like, of course. Of course. By the way, here's the bottle as proof.
Ray's back with the
dusty
bottle
in there, But this was a Johnny Walker Black Label. We're gonna throw this on Twitter here. Yeah, I will always keep this as the Johan Santana bottle.
We'll get you a little engraved stand for that or something.
I should. If you're out there listening, if you want to, maybe make a little contribution to the engraved stand, I'll put it next to the Trevor May jersey I just bought.
That's right.
Building out my
thank God that jersey. Thank God that jersey just says 42, because we could say whoever it is.
The great Jacob DeGrom wore this jersey.
It's exactly. But
All right.
I
So
mean,
look,
quality time in Mets history, something we were waiting for forever, for sure.
listen, I know we're running out of time. A couple other quick things. Folks, if you're want to learn more about Johan, check out the archives. We did an episode on Omar Manaya's part one of his tenure, and we say Johan is probably top three pickups in the Omar Minaya tenure. Unfortunately for Johan, it didn't come in a playoff / run. It was more of the downside. But definitely listen because we talk much deeper there. But what do you think, John? Like, knowing what we know now, history is hindsight's always 2020. Johan was never the same after that no hitter, but was it worth it?
No. As a fan, you could say it was worth it. Especially, I think the way the teams performed wasn't great. So it's not like you didn't have your hog going into the World Series or whatever. I think it was
13, 14 teams were just in the height of the Madoff.
Yeah, you were coming right off the Madoff piece, and there was no hope anyway. So it was. I think it was worth it. And then look at all the pitching that came after that, and
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was great.
It's worth it. One last tidbit for you. The next day, let's talk about post game and the next day. Everyone forgets R.A. Dickey throws a 1-hit complete game, so almost back-to-back no hitters that day. After the post game, they interview R.A. and R.A. is asked about his start. I guess he must have had like a nail issue or something like that, and he says, "I'm not pitching tomorrow." Because he didn't want to follow the no hitter, and he did it with a straight face. So they asked him, "What's wrong, or do you know who's going to take your place? Do you know who he throws out there as who's going to take his place?"
No, who did he throw out there?
Jeremy Hefner, New York Mets pitching coach. We got to find that clip because R.A. Dickey says Hefner's pitching, and at that moment, because his locker was next to the bathroom stall, you see someone's junk. You don't see the face or anything.
Oh, that's that's one of the few infamous times. I mean, we couldn't get this right more than once. Unbelievable.
Anyhow,
fitting way. Well, what a fitting way to bring a close to the no hitter episode.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed our stories. I think this was really important, to be part of it today. Would love to hear your stories if you're listening or reading this on our new website that we just started. BehindTheBagPodcast.com. And John, I think I see the sign to go home. So what do you have to say?
It may be during the week, but drive home safe, everybody.
Holiday leads off. Line drive, center field. On comes Torres, and he gets there, 1 out. Left field, Neuenhuis coming on. 2 out.